The Feminine Pulse Show is a safe and nourishing space
for women who desire to explore their power
and dance with their divine masculine and feminine energies.
We invite you on a journey to embody your feminine,
manifest deeper connections,
and be a catalyst for a harmonious, loving world.
Welcome to the Feminine Pulse Show. What is the most important way or path to activate your full potential?
I think a lot of people are frustrated. They know there's something more out there that they could be doing, that they can be using from within themselves and putting it out there in the world, and they're stopped. And they don't know why. They're living blind. They're not activating their full potential. Can we help them?
Definitely we can, but we can start by our own experiences, I think for me, I knew that my whole life I was accessing one part of who I was because I didn't know better. And it was like my masculine energy. And society told me that this was the way to be and this is the way to do it. Like, go and hustle and do and have a structure and have goals in order for you to get to where you need to go, and discount everything else that was weak, like connecting to my emotions or anything like that. And so from my own experience, that just got me into a certain place, but not to my full potential. Absolutely. How was your experience?
I can so relate. I mean, I saw my mom, and the teachings we got bringing up, it's like, you can be anything you want. What do you want to be? You can do anything you want. What do you want to do? And it's all about, striving and competing in a man's world. And okay, I had these great goals. I actually went to engineering school, right? And I, went to school, got the good job, and was bankrupt. My soul was very I felt like my soul was enslaved to the corporate, God, and this dream, this thing. And then I had to learn that was like my whole life fell apart at one point because I was so out of alignment and not really living my full potential. And I had no idea. I wasn't even saying that to myself. I was just bankrupt. My energy was zapped. My relationships couldn't. I was like tenacious, and I'm going to figure out how this is going to work, even though I'm miserable, because if I don't do this, I'm going to create another one that's just as miserable. So, but it all fell apart, luckily, because then it allowed me to tap into my full potential.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people have similar experiences. Like when you're using the word emotionally bankrupt, like for me, it was feeling depleted. And it was the moment that someone used that word, and I was like, oh, you summed up the way I was feeling for the past 2 years, and I didn't have a word for it. I just knew that I was tired all the time, that what I was doing was just okay. I was not feeling fulfilled. And I was hard on myself, and I was judging myself like, oh, why you're lazy? Why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? And it was just this very interesting conversation. The moment I heard the word depleted, I was just like, oh, okay. And then I went a little bit deeper. And it's like, what's underneath it? It is a symptom of what? And it was through that exploration and introspection that I was able to uncover that there is this huge part of me that I completely put on the side, that I never activated, that I never realized it even existed. And it was my whole feminine energy.
Yeah, I want to capitalize on that. It's not your fault you didn't know, right? It's not your fault you didn't know there's this whole other side of you weren't involved with. We didn't know. We weren't brought up like that. We were brought up in this paradigm of, oh my gosh, we got to go to school, get a good job, work. And I had it all. Like you're saying, I had a great guy. I had a good career, but I was unhappy and I felt bad about it. And I was beating myself up about it. I'm like, well, why aren't I happy? It's all my fault. And when it all fell apart, luckily, like I said, like you did, there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to blame, and not even myself, but I was determined to figure out and really to explore new avenues of figuring it out. And I realized figuring wasn't getting me anywhere. So I had to go
Exactly.
authentic, and I had to go into those emotions, and I had to activate something new within me, a resilient factor of, it was way more vulnerable. It felt more, I had to stop projecting and stop taking in the external world's guidelines, and had to learn what was going on inside and how could that be useful to me in my life. And so it's a journey inward, but I couldn't have done it alone. I had to
Yeah.
I had to use other resources and find other people who were saying things that resonated, and I had to respond to it and watch how I responded, feel how I responded, and then see if that was going to help me.
Yeah, no, totally. It's this very interesting shift that happens where we start to learn how to embody specific words like release control, surrender, where slowing down, like that was a big one for me, and receiving. What I was always the one giving. I was always the one wanting to be in control because that was the only way I knew I could like control my happiness, my success, and all of that. And so, like, that shift is very scary, but at the same time so rewarding. And so, and then at the end, like when I shifted from my masculine to going into my feminine energy and playing with it, because that's the beauty with the feminine, is there's a lot of creativity and a lot of play, a lot of introspection, inner discovery. Then I realized, oh my God, it's going to be like a beautiful harmony if I used both. Then I can access my full potential, because then I will know when to lean in to one energy versus the other, depending on the situation or where I want to be, who I want to be in the moment, or where I
Mhm.
want to get to. Right. Yeah.
You used a scary word, which I think we'll do a whole nother show on, surrender. And it's scary. It's not scary to you anymore, but it could be
Mm-mm.
scary to
A
one
lot of
thinking
people.
like, what do you mean surrender? That makes me vulnerable. And I just want to make a note, a pin here about when can you go into that feminine is when you feel safe. Okay. If you're not in a safe emotional relationship with other people. That's why when I said I went and got other resources, it was like with therapy, in a safe space with somebody who had my privacy at the top of her list, right? So when you're going to do that surrendering, make sure you are doing it in a safe place, physically and emotionally. And it will be the most, it takes a lot of courage to do that. This is not for the faint of heart. I mean, in terms of the feminine is no joke. This is stuff that takes courage, but it can be fun and it can be so rewarding. And what you said, I heard, I don't know if you said it this way, but I heard soul rewarding.
It's beautiful. See, that's what happens. Sometimes you'll hear words that just really resonate with you, even if that I didn't say that, but like maybe my my energy, my vibrancy wanted to create that. But it's so beautiful, and I love what you just said, because you really pointed out one of the key elements of the masculine energy. And masculine energy, when it's in its healthy state, brings and create that safety, and it create that beautiful structure that allows us to be creative, because you cannot be creative without like already having some parameters. So that's why, like, so when we think about it, like there is like this beautiful healthy side of the feminine energy and a beautiful healthy side of the masculine energy, and when they're both activated, they can create wonders and truly activate the full potential. And so to help the listeners, what would you say like are some of the aspects of masculine healthy energy?
Mm. Well, it's an honoring and a protection. You know, when the protection of the feminine is a priority, um, that allows the a woman in her feminine to relax, to feel safe. That is a healthy place. And I remember when I was in the midst of my relationship in the beginning with my now husband, it was not so the beginning. It was kind of like that point when you decide, are we moving forward towards something more serious and permanent? or where are we? And when I was in a meditation, this voice came to me and asked me a question. And it was, can you trust him with your heart? And the answer instantly was yes. And I knew that was the question that had to be answered to know if I could actually thrive in my feminine in this relationship. Now, we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. And we want to make sure our masculine is taking care of ourselves too, within our own being. So I think there's a healthy masculine that's not beating yourself up. It's taking care of your feminine too. It honors that because it knows that if it trusts the feminine, then you are going to reach your potential together. So that is another aspect, even in the outside world, when you have a man in his masculine and a woman in her feminine to whatever degrees, the man knows that the intentions, the direction, the intuition that is available to him through his feminine partner, if we're talking masculine, feminine, male, female, it doesn't really matter, but that's the paradigm I live in. So it's easier to talk about when he trusts that and can take direction from that to fulfill, and knowing that they're going to get to a mutually beneficial place. It's a beautiful dance. It's a beautiful way of being together, of appreciation of each other's abilities. And it just can be so magical to reach new heights together because you're using the best of each other's energies.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I love that you shared in a romantic relationship how the masculine and the feminine truly shows up. Um, and then there's that element that all of us, we do have masculine and feminine energy within us. And so I think what I was learning too with the question is like for people to recognize when they are in their healthy masculine and when they are in their healthy feminine. And so you mentioned like some element of like feeling safe. There is that structure, there is the respect, there's the trust. There's also purpose. I found like purpose is one of the big elements of being in your masculine. And then there's that protection as well. And so while where you are in the feminine, like I think that's what you mentioned, learn to, like there's that play and that creativity. It's connecting to your intuition when your intuition told you that can you trust him with your heart? So it's connecting to the heart as well as the vibrancy, it's feeling and being magnetic, and it's receiving. And I think that was the big one for me is that the masculine give and the feminine receives. And that's when I realized that I was mostly in my masculine. And I didn't know how to receive. And so that was my big shift as well. Like we talked about the scary word of like surrendering and all of that, but receiving is also a very scary word for a lot of people.
It is.
That has need its own show as well. But it's beautiful, right? Because then when you have this awareness, like we learned to at the beginning, like we didn't know, and you cannot beat yourself up for something you didn't know. And so the moment that you realize that you have these two energies within yourself and you recognize when they are in their healthy, that they are working for you and supporting people around you, then you can create that beautiful dance that can help you activate your full potential for yourself, but also in your romantic partnership, like you mentioned. And so, yes, I think this is like a very important question and conversation to have, to just get people to awaken to their full potential by just activating those energies that have been dormant most of their lives, right?
Yeah, and I want to encourage everyone listening to explore that feminine, slow down, do that advice that you said. If you're going a million miles an hour, you're not activating your full potential by any means. You're just getting stuff done, wearing yourself out, becoming depleted, and you'll not be able to activate. So sometimes you have to slow down to activate that full potential. And so maybe the question is, what can you say no to this week?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful one for boundaries as well. Yeah, what can you say no to? Or also, how can you slow down so you can go faster? It's also like, and I think the slowing down is to say no to a lot of things.
Indeed.
Right? So yeah, so there's like a very interesting thing there. So yeah, so I guess our invitation to you is to really start exploring this feminine side, because we can bet you that your masculine is thriving and going really well. They
Got that
taught us
one
well.
down. Got that
Got that
down.
one. Exactly. And then like, yeah, it's like exactly what you said. What can you say no to? And how can you slow down so you can go faster? And just uncover what are the elements of the feminine that's already within you that you just want to activate more. And even in your romantic relationship, how can you be more in your feminine? Whether you're a man or woman, doesn't matter to your gender. It's like, how can I bring more play and creativity and sensuality, right, into this relationship this week?
Mm-hmm. Enjoy.
Spicy. Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
Thank you for being part of our community.
Listen to the next episode of Feminine Pulse on your favorite podcast app.
We welcome your questions and have some amazing gifts for you
at femininepulse.com.